And welcome to the Delta Center. Sold out, nearly 20,000 fans, and a big game for the Utah Jazz supporters as they hope their club draws even with the Sacramento Kings in Game 4 of their best-of-7 Western Conference first round. The Kings winning the first two impressively in Sacramento, and then the Jazz winning 107-104 on Saturday, and a big throng on hand. And there's a lot of meaning to this game because this could possibly be the last time that Karl Malone and John Stockton, the two graybeards who have been together since 1985, play their last game as teammates in this arena. Dick Stockton here along with Jeff Van Gundy, and the starting lineups tonight for the Kings. It'll be Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic up front. Vlade Divac, who Rick Adelman would like to see a little more aggressive in the backcourt. Doug Christie and Mike Bibby. For the Jazz, Karl Malone and Matt Harpring, who has been cold from the field, with Greg Ostertag coming off 2 out of 3 outstanding games. John Stockton and Calbert Cheaney, who came alive in the last game. And if you're watching this Spanish language feed live on TNT, now available via SAP. So we're set to go, and an important game, obviously, Jeff.
Right. This is the control game right here for Sacramento. If they win it, they know they can close it out in 5. Utah can put extreme pressure on the heavily favored Kings by winning here and taking it to Sacramento, all tied up at 2.
The officials tonight, Dick Bavetta, Ken Maurer, and Ron Oleziak, as the Jazz with the first possession. Here is John Stockton. Stockton and Malone, a vintage game on Saturday for the first time in the series. Malone takes the first shot, and the rebound by Mike Bibby. Bibby, defended by Stockton, goes around him. Wide open is Christie, and he hits. Christie has not been a factor offensively, only 27% from the field.
In that pick and roll situation, Stockton must force Bibby to use the pick and roll. Bibby loves to break it off, go baseline off the pick and roll. There he found Christie.
And Webber knocks it away and creates the turnover. Bibby feeding Webber inside, and Webber misses. The follow-up is missed, and Webber finally scores, and that is one thing the Jazz have to really be careful of, the turnovers out on the perimeter.
And that's the weakness of the 1-4 set that Utah runs out of, is that their big men have to make passes. Malone's usually a very good ball handler.
Stockton losing the ball. The pass wasn't that good from Malone, and neither was Bibby's pass to Webber, and Malone bats it out of bounds. So a little sloppiness at both ends of the floor early on as the Kings take the early 4-0 lead.
Dick, you see Utah have 2 quick turnovers. In Game 3, they only had 10. Normally a high turnover team took care of that in Game 3. Not off to a good start here, handling the ball.
Peja Stojakovic loses his footing, gets rid of it in time, and Divac with the air ball. And here come the Jazz looking to get their first points with more than a minute and a half gone by. Malone fall away from the baseline, and the rebound by Webber. Jazz have won only twice all year, once in the regular season and once in the playoffs. In both those games, Jerry Sloan was ejected on technical fouls. Another air ball. Both teams, whether it's a little Game 4 stage fright or not, are not even close to the mark thus far. Calbert Cheaney defended by Christie, the best defender on the Sacramento team, and knocked to the floor was John Stockton, and a foul called against the Kings away from the ball. It'll be on Vlade Divac.
Stockton's one of the great screeners and is courageous in how he holds his pick, makes Divac run over him, drawing a critical first foul on Divac. And Stockton, for all his greatness as an assist man, a high percentage shooter, his screening ability has done just as much to free up Malone coming into the post.
And that's the pick and roll game that the Jazz have played so well for many years. Stockton running into the double team and throws the ball away. Stockton with a couple of turnovers early on, and here is Bibby driving in with the pass to Stojakovic, knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Jazz.
It's the second fast break Sacramento has failed to convert off a turnover, with Bibby being either indecisive or not making an on-target pass.
Shaky start for both teams here in game number 5. And here is Weber driving in, and the foul called inside, and it's going to be on Greg Ostertag. Chris Weber, who scored 24 points, despite the fact that he had been bothered by a strained lower back, suffered in game 2. Those were Weber's numbers, a double-double with 24 points and 11 rebounds in Saturday's game 3.
But Ostertag's size has affected him, and Weber made a good adjustment there. Stepped Ostertag out onto the perimeter, made him cover onto the floor, and then showed the shot and drove by him to make Ostertag try to move his feet laterally. Ostertag at 7'2" can really affect his shot.
And someone is bleeding, and we'll see. It is Mike Bibby, and Bibby is going to have to go to the bench. And it looks like the right wrist is cut. Rick Adelman saying that he's very confident about the Kings offense, and he feels that the Jazz just don't have the firepower as long as they don't rush their shots and get out of their game, which proved so effective in the first 2.
I don't think there's any doubt that the talent differential that Sacramento has from an offensive standpoint is clearly superior to Utah's. However, Utah has a great home court advantage, and if they're able to hang around and hang in there going into the 4th quarter, I believe they execute in the half court a little bit better than Sacramento does. So it's up to them to try to hang close. And
you're right, Jeff, and Rick Adelman nervous about the game for that very reason. Here's Bibby coming off the screen, and he misses. And there is Stockton, the outlet by Ostertag, and Stockton lays it in. Bibby tried to knock the ball away. So the fast break, and the Jazz actually outscored the Kings in fast break points in game 3. Finally get on the board with nearly 3 minutes elapsed. Divac, knowing Ostertag already has a personal foul, and Bibby from the corner missing the 3. Christie with the offensive rebound. Here is Weber from the baseline, in and out. So both teams struggling from the field. 22% for Sacramento. They're only 2 for 9 shooting. Kings leading 4-2. Malone, quick pass into Ostertag, blocked by Weber, and Ostertag again with the block. Christie came over to help. So that time, superb interior defense by Sacramento.
Terrific defense, particularly get 2 blocks in 1 possession. Plus, good offense, too. So right there, good defense, just a little bit better than the offense.
I've never seen more air balls that time by Stojakovic thrown by the Kings in one sequence as I have in the first quarter here.
Absolutely. That shot was contested, but the first 2 air balls were uncontested, just bad misses.
So the Jazz are shooting 20%, as are the Sacramento Kings. Early on, nearly 4 minutes have elapsed in what has been a less than artful first quarter here at the Delta Center as Weber knocks the ball out of bounds with 8 on the shot clock. Game 5 will be Wednesday in Sacramento, and the clock remains at 8 seconds as Malone will inbound. And driving basket by Calvert Chaney, and the foul. Chaney, 1 for 9 shooting in the first 2 games of the series, exploded for 7 for 10 and 15 points in game 3.
A great screen by Greg Ostertag on that underneath out of bounds, freed Chaney, and then he made a floating runner to the basket.
Christie committing the foul, and Chaney with the 3-point play. And the Jazz lead 5-4. Chaney in his 10th year, but coming into the series had only 3 games of playoff experience. That with the Bullets. And going around Ostertag, Weber misses the shot. He beat Ostertag off the dribble. And now the Jazz coming back with their first lead of the game, and Malone from the perimeter misses, and Malone thus far 0 for 3 from the field. And Christie. So Christie has 4 points. He has been the one starter for the Kings who has not been a factor offensively yet in the series.
And his role for Sacramento is usually not to put points on the board, but to defend 2s and 3s. In this series, no powerful scoring 2s and 3s, so it's really not his type of series.
And there's the player that the Jazz want to get going, and that is Matt Harpring, who has been struggling from the field, and the Jazz regain the lead by 1.
very high percentage shooter in the regular season, down to 40% in the playoffs, and his scoring is down 4 points. So the Jazz need Matt Harpring to be that second option.
And Weber with the jumper, only his second basket of the game. And with under 7 minutes to go in the opening quarter, the Kings regain the lead by 1. Dick Stockton, Jeff Van Gundy, Todd Harris is with us as well here at the Delta Center. Ostertag playing the high post, and coming across is Harpring, and misses off the glass. That was a good look for Matt Harpring.
And again, Ostertag did a great job in setting the screen to free up Harpring. Ostertag's an underrated screener, such very good picks to free people for catch-and-shoot jump shots.
Ostertag playing the best stretch of basketball in a long while as Cheney smoothly hits from the corner. So Albert Cheney, who with 15 points in game 3, already with 5 in this one. Utah by 1. Back and forth they go. Divac with a good feed from Christie, and now the Kings regain the lead again.
Excellent extra pass from the corner into Divac for the layup.
And you can see now the teams are getting more relaxed, getting more in rhythm with their shooting and passing, as opposed to the early moments. Malone trying to get the foul, and does. And Karl Malone, shooting, will go to the line for 2.
Bibby does an excellent job off the pick and roll of using Christie in the corner. Christie sees the shot, but sees a better opportunity for Divac. Up and in. Nice play by Doug Christie.
But one thing we do know, Dick and Jeff, is that no decision whatsoever will be made until the season is over for the Utah Jazz. Dick?
All right, Todd, thank you very much. Meanwhile, during the break, Chris Webber was called for a technical foul, and still talking with Ron Oleksiak. He was very upset. And not because over a foul that he had picked up, and still talking with Oleksiak. John Stockton making the technical, and so Karl Malone now on the free throw line and looking for his first points of the game.
Ron Oleksiak did a good job there of officiating. He called the technical foul. He walked all the way to the other end of the court, and now, after the timeout, when they both have time to calm down, he talked with Webber. Both did it very respectfully, and now they can move on. Good piece of officiating by Ron Oleksiak.
Webber still shaking his head. Meanwhile, Karl Malone getting his first points of the game, scoring 20 in Saturday's game, and he is averaging 20 to lead his team. And John Stockton with 7 assists, and that's what he basically averaged during the regular season, the first time these two have had such solid games together. The Jazz leading by 2 with 5:40 remaining in the first quarter. Doug Christie already has 4 points, so from unlikely sources, Christie with 4 and Cheney with 5 for the Utah Jazz, and nearly a steal by Stockton. 5 on the shot clock. Christie stepping inside the line, and Bibby with a 2-point attempt at the buzzer, and kept alive with the rebound by Webber. Webber working in against Ostertag, misses the hook. Ostertag with a good outlet pass again. He has 5 rebounds already. Greg Ostertag, who is outstanding with 12 off the glass in game 3. Under 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Kings lead 2 games to 1, and Malone pushed, fouled again. So it looks like the Jazz are anxious to get Karl Malone to make many trips to the free throw strike.
And Dick, it's been a great adjustment. Instead of having him play on the perimeter, which he's a great jump shooter now, they're getting him into the paint. Harpring's had a great screen. Stockton threw a nice pass inside. But getting him inside gets him in an attack mode, gets him to the free throw line, gets people in foul trouble. That's where he needs to play. And what older players start to do is drift their game further and further outside. Jerry Sloan's making Malone play inside, and it's going to prove beneficial to him and the Jazz.
And Jeff Malone was relying on more of the perimeter shot in the first 2 games, and now working inside, and this is the aggressiveness. And even Rick Allen said, look, you know, they just attacked us, and that's why the Jazz won game 3.
And Sacramento, some of the players had a beef with how many free throws that Utah shot in the last game. But if you go inside and you take the ball to the basket aggressively, you will shoot more free throws than your opponent.
Stockton working on the leg with the trainer on the bench as Mark Jackson replaces him, as he does at this stage every game. And the ball out of bounds, last touch by Karl Malone.
Quietly, last game, Dick, Utah made an adjustment. They've got Calvert Chaney on Stojakovic instead of Harper, and Chaney a much better on-ball defender.
And Bibby with an ad-lib layup on the loose ball. So Bibby coming off his best scoring game of the series with 23 points. And with 4:10 remaining in the first quarter, the Jazz leading the Kings 13-12. It has been a tight game. Ostertag getting a feed from Harper down low, but it's deflected away. Divac making an outstanding play, and the foul called on the perimeter as Bibby is fouled by Mark Jackson, and that brings Jerry Sloan off the bench.
This is the second time that Ostertag has gotten great position and then not been able to finish because of a blocked shot. He's 0 for 3. All 3 shots been blocked.
And there's a holding foul away from the ball. So another foul on the Jazz and 2 quick ones on Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson having an outstanding game, a vintage Mark Jackson in game 3 as Weber misses, comes right into the hands of Bibby, and it's tipped up and finally tipped up by Weber. So Weber now with 6 points. All of the starting 5, with the exception of Stojakovic, have scored for the Kings. They lead by 1, 3.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Here's Harper, still looking to get going with only 2 points thus far. 8 on the shot clock for the Jazz. Malone looking inside and knocked away by Stojakovic. And 5 on the shot clock. And Andrei Kirilenko gets the call from Jerry Sloan. Kirilenko averaging over 12 points a game, a tough defender, and he'll replace Matt Harpring. So Harpring still not getting underway yet. As you mentioned, 51% shooter during the regular season, 8th in the league. Outstanding three-point shooter as well, as struggled from both areas. Here's Jackson, underhanded, scores at the shot clock buzzer. So Mark Jackson giving the Jazz the lead again by 1.
And that teardrop shot is his signature shot on penetration.
Driving in, wins away, and Kirilenko getting the rebound, and the Jazz with the break. Kings get back. Malone from Jackson, and now another fast break opportunity for the Kings. Christie driving in, and the foul called. Foul is on Calvert Chaney, and Christie driving to the basket will shoot.
Mark Jackson's signature shot late in the clock, lofts it up and in. A teardrop by Jackson.
Who has 6 points off the start in what has been a seesaw game. There have been 9 lead changes so far in this contest.
Well, Sacramento's only shooting 30%, but they're crushing Utah on the offensive board right now. And in the season series, in the regular season, it was just the opposite. Utah pounded Sacramento on the board. So this is a great sign that Sacramento's only down 1, even though they're shooting just 30%.
And the Kings going to their bench with Bobby Jackson and Jim Jackson both entering the game. And the Jazz stay with the same 5 they had. And a foul, and that will be called against Chaney. It'll be 2 on Calvert Chaney. And Jim Jackson going to the line. Jim Jackson coming off a 9-point effort, but double figures with 15 and 11 in the first 2 games of the series, and has been a real defensive impetus for this club, and learning a lot of his defensive efforts from Pat Riley when he played at Miami last year. Reminder to log on to the SpecialNBA.com playoff section throughout the postseason for history, news, features, and series breakdowns. That's only on NBA.com or American Online, keyword NBA.com. Kings by 1. 2:35 remaining in the first quarter. Here is a Malone working against Weber, and the foul, and Jim Jackson coming in on the reaching foul. And Malone will go to the free throw line.
Again, the Utah Jazz are getting Malone inside. Jim Jackson tries to slide down and give some support, fouls him on the strip. I don't think Chris Webber right now needs that help. They've got to make Malone take that and make that deep hook shot. He doesn't have the elevation he had as a younger player, so they can play him just one-on-one without putting him to the free throw line.
Karl Malone getting ready to attempt his 6th free throw, and a pretty solid number for the first quarter. And he has made all but one. Utah by 1. Jerry Sloan, who was ejected after receiving 2 technical fouls. Rick Adelman joking, he says we have to keep Jerry Sloan in the game. Every time he has been ejected, the Utah Jazz have won, just on 2 occasions. Here's Jim Jackson with a long-range shot. He was wide open, and it's now another lead for Sacramento.
Kirilenko got caught going underneath the Divac screen, left Jim Jackson wide open. Kirilenko's got to fight over, make it tougher for Jimmy Jackson to get space.
2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. And here is Matt Harpring with the turnaround, and Harpring scoring. And that is the man that the Jazz want to see get going.
Very composed post-up move. Good entry by Malone. Very good poise by Harpring in the paint.
And here's Bobby Jackson slicing in. Passes to Christie. Crowd thought he had traveled. Christie driving in block. Kirilenko, I think, got a piece of it. And here's a 2-on-1 opportunity for the moment. Jackson to Harpring underneath. Maybe too far under the basket, and the ball knocked away, and it's last touched by the Kings with a new clock for the Utah Jazz. And Scott Pollard will enter the game for the first time. Another big man in the lineup, so Rick Adelman deciding to bring Scott Pollard in ahead of Keon Clark, as he did in game number 3. And the pass to Harpring inside. Basket will counter the foul. Matt Harpring this time had good position inside and a chance for the 3-point play.
Malone is such a good passer on underneath inside out of bounds that you've always got to be having your defense prepared. Here Malone takes it out, sees a little crevice right there for Harpring on the back cut, gets Jimmy Jackson in the air and finishes. The problem defensively right there was Chris Webber should have been protecting the basket more. He was playing Malone too head-on instead of protecting the basket first.
Jim Jackson committing the foul and giving the Jazz a 4-point lead, which is their largest advantage, and it comes with under 1:20 to go. Free throw shooting has been outstanding thus far. Here is Jim Jackson, and hit his first from the perimeter, misses that one. And Ostertag with his 7th rebound of the first quarter. Winding down to a minute remaining in quarter number 1, and out to Kirilenko. He's got the open shot and hits it. Andre Kirilenko.
That's Utah Jazz basketball. Throw it inside and then move the ball to the open man Jackson with a great pass to Kirilenko.
And he snares the rebound at the other end, Jeff. And the Jazz on a 9-2 run. Malone with the layup. And it's an 11-2 run. And the Jazz opening up an 8-point lead to the delight of this capacity crowd at the Delta Center with nearly a half a minute remaining. Kicked away and another turnover by the Kings. And Rick Adelman, who had concerns going in, really is got to be concerned right now because the Jazz are playing their style to a T.
Great energy and great production off the bench by Utah.
Jackson, Kirilenko with the pass to Malone. Karl Malone now with 9 points. Final seconds of the first quarter in what had been a tight seesaw game, and the Jazz have opened up the big lead, but Bobby Jackson driving in with under 2 seconds to go, ending that run. It had been an impressive run. Christie will not count if it goes, and so the Jazz opening up the big lead will settle for an 8-point advantage.
Great ball movement by Utah. Malone shot fakes, gathers, knocks the 18-foot jumper down.
The Kings, which has a superior bench, although the Jazz does not have a bad bench either, outscored them by only 2 points. A far improvement from what they experienced in the first 2 games. So we're underway here in the second quarter. Bobby Jackson, Jim Jackson, Scott Pollard, Doug Christie, and Chris Webber for the Sacramento Kings. And here's Bobby Jackson off the screen. Poster tag. And Mark Jackson setting it up. As we talked about in the beginning of the series, what a luxury to have a great point guard, a veteran, experienced player like Mark Jackson backing up John Stockton.
There's no doubt. If not for Stockton, he'd be the greatest point guard passer in the game today.
Battle for the loose ball, and Ostertag getting the offensive rebound. Plenty of time on the clock, setting it up. Karl Malone, who started this quarter, will be coming back and harpering, and no basket on the play, and they're going to call Ostertag with the push-off underneath, and that'll be Greg's second personal foul. So Jerry Sloan, starting center, who has played extremely well, has 2 fouls, goes out of the game, replaced by the mailman.
Even though he got called for an illegal screen right there, his screening ability is freeing up Utah players. So he's got to continue to screen hard, but make sure they're legal.
And Tony Massenberg has come in the game as Kirilenko defending on the perimeter, harpering, defended by Jim Jackson. That's a great matchup there. Jackson, one of the ace defenders, and here is Massenberg. Played well in game 3. Jackson for 3. Mark Jackson, who hit 2 3-pointers in game 3 just as the 24-second clock was expiring.
And he made 2 big threes in the second quarter in game 3 as well. He's an underrated 3-point shooter.
And Webber spinning around and scoring, cutting the lead to 9 after the Jazz established their biggest lead of 11 seconds ago.
And Rick Adelman's got to like that Chris Webber went in the post. He's got to get in there and draw some fouls, put the Utah bigs in foul trouble as well.
Kirilenko misses everything on the jumper. And here is Bobby Jackson. Kings bench, the key in the first 2 games of the series. And that's what Rick Adelman is going to need again tonight. Malone picking up Bobby Jackson. Double team. Webber with the extra pass to Jim Jackson for 3. And it is a 3-point basket as Dick Bavetta looking at the line. And this is where the officials worked together. Ron Oleziak saw that it was behind the line for a 3 by Jim Jackson.
Great extra pass by Webber.
7-point lead for Utah. They have had the lead throughout the game with the exception of Sacramento's first 4 points. Massenberg from outside, Pollard clearing. And they have changed the Jackson shot to a 2-point basket after all. Bobby Jackson with harpering defending. And the ball knocked out of bounds.
We see the extra pass by Webber. Tough angle, but I think Jimmy Jackson's foot was on the line. A good call by Dick Bavetta to make sure that the right call was made. That's good teamwork by the officiating crew.
John Stockton checking back in. Bobby Jackson defended well by Stockton in the perimeter. Nearly 3 minutes have gone by here in the second quarter. Game 4 of the best-of-7 series with the Kings leading 2-1. Jazz looking to tie the series at 2 apiece as Pollard gets a hand on the deflection, knocked out of bounds, and it's last touched by the Kings. 8 seconds on the shot clock when we come back with just under 9 minutes to go in the first half.
It's very difficult, but certainly Sacramento could use that extra point.
Yeah, Dick Bavetta was right there. Here's John Stockton with a runner off the glass. Massenberg fighting his way in and converting. Tony Massenberg, who was signed when Jared Collins went out with a knee injury in December, and he has more than paid dividends for Jerry Sloan, and the lead again is 9. Bench points are almost even, which is a win for the Utah Jazz. Jimmy Jackson and Harpring fell down, leaving Jim Jackson with an open shot, which he missed, and the ball knocked away, and they're going to call the foul, and Karl Malone, very upset, and getting up slowly under the basket is Bobby Jackson. The foul is on Karl Malone, his first of the game. And Harpring is limping around.
Here he's guarding Jim Jackson, and he sort of has his legs buckled, sort of twists maybe that right ankle. Certainly that's not a good sign for Utah.
Trying to work it off as Peja Stojakovic, who missed his first 2 shots of the game, bringing the Kings to within 7. Four minutes going by. Here's Malone from the perimeter. Massenburg keeping it alive, tapping it out to Harpring. Jazz have to like what they have shown so far, getting off to a spirited start here at home, trying to even the series. They had an 11-point lead, which has been narrowed somewhat. Here is Malone with the fall away against Pollard, getting his own rebound, looking to get inside, and no basket, and the foul before the shot.
And here is where Utah hurt Sacramento in the regular season series. The one weakness of Sacramento is rebounding the basketball. Malone took the shot, followed it, and then took it powerfully to the basket at Keon Clark, forcing Clark to foul. And again, getting Malone to the free throw line is critical for Utah's success. Great effort by Karl Malone.
And the first free throw missed by Malone. Keon Clark called for the foul. Want to remind you to catch the NBA playoffs in high definition on NBA TV. Tomorrow, Game 5 doubleheader beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Nets host the Bucks, followed by the Pacers and the Celtics. And then on Wednesday, Game 5 as Orlando looks to finish off the top-seeded Detroit Pistons. That's playoff action in high definition only on NBA TV. One free throw for Karl Malone. He has 10 points in the game. And the Jazz up by 8. They have led all but the opening moments of the game. Keon Clark firing an air ball, and Stockton coming out of it. So 33% shooting thus far by the Sacramento Kings.
We got to check the wind at that end of the field down there. There's been a lot of air balls down at that end.
Well, that's why they decided to kick off instead of receive.
Boy.
And the turnover at the other end. So the bench still playing the big role for Sacramento with the Pollard, Bobby Jackson, Jim Jackson, and Keon Clark. Spin move in the lane, the offensive rebound by Stojakovic, knocked away. I think Stockton got the ball knocked away into the hands of the Jazz again. And using the clock, Harpring going down and trying to get it into Massenburg. And knocked away. So Chris Webber and Mike Bibby will both come back into the lineup for the Kings, and Greg Ostertag will come in for Massenburg as both coaches make substitutions here at the 6:45 mark. Kirilenko out to Ostertag, who's gotten off to a good start with 8 rebounds. Here is Stockton, picked up on the switch by Clark. Malone with a pass, did not have control of it, I don't believe, when he fired it inside. Bibby from Jackson, and it's blocked by Kirilenko. And a 3-on-2 break, and Stockton sees it knocked away, and the Kings come back with it. And Chris Webber.
Great effort by Kirilenko, and on that break, Stockton's got to think score because everyone's playing him for the pass in transition. He's got to make a defender commit to him first and pass.
And Bibby fouled by Stockton as he hooked him, as Bibby beat him to the rim, and Stockton committing his first.
These effort plays right here are what make the difference. Kirilenko showing his athleticism and energy, comes across the basket, makes a block, and then got out and filled the lane in transition. He gives them that energy and that spontaneity that not too many players on their team play with. A great draft pick for Utah.
Absolutely, Jeff. And those extra plays getting after the loose ball was the difference on Saturday, and the Jazz picking up where they left off, leading 34-26. And Utah playing an outstanding defensive game against an outstanding shooting team. And the foul on Harpring, an offensive foul. Jerry Sloan sitting it down, not saying much after being ejected in game 3. Ejected twice. This was the serious one because back on January 28th, he bumped Courtney Kirkland, the official, at Arco Arena and was helped off the court. He was suspended for 7 games as a result. And then last Saturday was ejected here, but it seemed that the Utah Jazz went on 2 runs after the first technical, Jeff. They went on a 17-8 run and then a 9-4 edge after he was ejected. So in the last 5 years, Jerry Sloan leads the parade. But you know, Jerry Sloan has the longest tenure of any coach and manager of any major sport going right now, and he is as much of a landmark as the Mormon Temple here in the city.
You saw some great coaches on that list, and Jerry Sloan, the Jazz play off his emotion and passion, and that's why they play so hard and overachieve so much. It's because of Jerry Sloan's coaching, teaching, and passion.
Weber now with 10 points. Cutting the Jazz lead to 6. Kirilenko with Stockton, Ostertag, Malone, and Harpring for the 5 starters. And setting the screen, the pick and roll, and instead they go inside. Stojakovic got a hand on it, knocked out of bounds, and the Jazz will have 4 seconds to attempt a shot.
John Stockton is just not on top of his passing game tonight yet. A lot of balls getting deflected, a few too many turnovers.
Harpring from the corner. Matt Harpring getting off to the best start he's had in the series. He has 9 points on 4 for 6 from the field. And again, an 8-point lead for the Jazz. Under 5 remaining in the first half. Utah leading all the way, but they know how explosive the Kings can be. Weber with the turnaround, and the rebound by Karl Malone. And here is Stockton pushing it up. The Jazz are not really a grinded-out team, as they will tell you. They'll go for the fast break when it's there. And the pass by Stockton off of Harpring. So 4 turnovers by John Stockton. Unusual for him, even at this stage of his career. Ostertag out to meet Weber, and the offensive foul called against Chris Weber. That will be his second, and that was clear cut.
Again, Ostertag may well not have scored yet tonight, but his defense has been outstanding. Here, he makes Weber put it on the floor. He beats him to the spot, draws an offensive foul, and really he's had an effect on Weber's field goal percentage. So far tonight, 5 of 13. Weber's going to get his points. What Ostertag must do is make him less efficient, and that's exactly what he's done so far.
So Weber been a bit frustrated here, and Ostertag doing things other than scoring. He's got the rebounds, good defense. Vlade Divac checking into the game as Keon Clark goes out, and Divac is knocked down, and now Ostertag all over Ron Oleziak, and Ostertag has picked up his 3rd foul. That is critical here with 4:11 remaining here in the 3rd, and a technical foul has been called as well.
There, Divac ran over Harpring, and then Harpring tripped Divac. So
it's Harpring's foul.
Right, it was a foul on Harpring, but Dick, I think it should have been the first foul called on Divac, not the second foul call. That happens many times where they see the second action instead of the first.
And the technical foul called against the coach Jerry Sloan. And just as we were talking about his problems with the technicals, the free throw made by Stojakovic.
Here the screen is set, then they're tangled up. I'm not sure any foul should have been called there, but there's so much contact. The referee sometimes just feels compelled to make a call to keep the game under control.
So Sloan with a technical foul already, and one more, and he'll be ejected once more. And Stojakovic off the side of the backboard. Jazz with the ball, leading by 7 points with 3:48 remaining here in the first half, and the reaching foul against Divac. A non-shooting situation. And for more on Jerry Sloan and his problems with the officials and technical fouls, let's check in with Todd Harris.
Well, Dick, as you mentioned, he's been ejected twice this year against the Kings. Both times they won. And prior to game 3, Bobby Sloan, Jerry's wife, told him as he was leaving the house, Jerry, don't get kicked out of the game. Back to you, Dick.
Well, Bobby Sloan now has seen that margin narrow because he has one technical, one more, and he's gone. And it's Harpring now with 11 points. Here is Bibby long range, and Malone snaring the rebound. 5 rebounds for Malone. That's a 9-point lead for the Jazz. With a basket here, they can match their biggest lead of the game with 3:10 to go. And Christie knocking the ball away, and a technical foul called against Doug Christie. Called for the personal. He batted the ball away from Matt Harpring. So Christie gets a tee.
Both teams have just got to calm down and focus all of their energy and effort onto what's happening on the floor. The extracurricular stuff has got to go. Both teams must keep their poise. You've got to play with emotion in this game, Dick. The playoffs are emotional, but you cannot cross the line.
The offensive foul was called on Matt Harpring, and Christie inexplicably knocking the ball away. So that is the second technical foul on the Kings, as Weber and Christie were hit with one, and of course Jerry Sloan moments ago for the Jazz. And John Stockton, uncanny, and Rick Adelman can't believe what he's seeing here. Let's see it again.
There's a push-up, I guess, and a slap of the ball away. Again, both teams have to just play basketball and play through whatever they deem to be a non-call or a bad call.
Deshaun Stevenson checking into the game for the Utah Jazz as Mike Bibby missing the three-point attempt. Ostertag looking for the outlet. Bibby 1 for 9, very quiet for the Kings after a big scoring game on Saturday. Ostertag with the short hook shot, in and out, and the rebound by Chris Webber. So Deshaun Stevenson, who was suspended for 1 game for mouthing off against Jerry Sloan and did play sometime in the first half on Saturday, and Webber coming back with his 12th point to cut the Jazz lead to 8. Here is Stevenson, who played his high school ball in Fresno, California, and a pushing foul on Stojakovic, and a timeout with 2 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in the first half. The Jazz are up by 8.
It could happen.
Webber has 12 to lead the Sacramento Kings. Harpring with 11 and Karl Malone 10 top the Jazz scores as we get close to 2 minutes remaining. And Dick Rivetta calling the foul, and we've had a lot of fouls away from the basket, and that will be on Divac. 3 on Divac, and that's a big call.
Right now, the officials are continuing to take control of the game, and it's up to the players to adjust. It's going to do them no good to argue, complain, and whine after the game about bad calls. I think that was an illegal screen by Stevenson, but Divac can't just rid him and take a foul that hurts his team. That
has been one of the problems that the Kings have faced, the fact that they have a penchant for arguing officials' calls a little bit too much and perhaps getting out of their game. Here is Massenberg into the game, and he misses close in. Christie getting the rebound. What's interesting is the Kings, who are shooting 44% from threes in this series, have missed their first 4 attempts. Here's Webber working in against Malone, and Webber now with 14, cutting the lead to 6.
And you can see why Jerry Sloan plays Ostertag on Webber. His size affects him. When Malone has to guard it, Webber feels more comfortable that he can get that jump hook over Karl Malone.
There's Malone setting the screen. Stockton gets an opening, and Kirilenko fighting for the offensive rebound. Big play by Andrei Kirilenko from Russia, and he's got to be one of the top 6-man candidates in the country.
And what you love about Kirilenko is you don't have to run a play for him to be effective.
Webber coming right back. He has 16 here in the first half, 10 here in the second quarter. 1:05 remaining in the first half. Jazz leading the Kings 41-35, trying to even the best of 7 in 2 games apiece. Going baseline was Stockton, the ball knocked away, 2-on-1. Bibby, Stojakovic, and Bibby will feed Peja Stojakovic for the basket. Only 5 points for Peja thus far. And the lead now down to 4. And here's Stevenson with the pass to Massenberg, deflected away. Weber and Pollard both there to knock the ball away. And a chance now for the Kings to get even closer before intermission. And Weber fouled by Malone on the reach-in foul. That'll be 2 on Karl Malone, and one that he would like to have back. Coming up on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report, E.J. Kenny and special guest Mario Elie back in our TNT studios. Highlights and interviews from tonight's Game 4 between the Sixers and the Hornets. Preview of Game 5 tomorrow between the Lakers and the Timberwolves. And analysis of the first half here. Deshaun Stevenson after Kirilenko got a piece of that one. A big first half for Andrei Kirilenko. And his pass, however, looking for Malone, picked off by Weber. And playing for the final shot of the first half. And Bibby out of bounds. And Bibby finishing 1 for 10, but Weber bailing out the Kings with 16 points to keep them within range here in the first half. So at the half, a 4-point lead by the Jazz, who have led virtually throughout the first half. And let's check in now with Todd Harris, who's with Matt Harpring.
All right, thank you, Dick. One of Coach Van Gundy's key players tonight, Matt Harpring, 5 of 7, Matt, 10 points, but more importantly, a very physical Jazz-type game.
Yeah, I thought we got out and executed tonight, and we're playing our tempo of game. You know, we just got to continue to do it in the second half.
So key for you to take a lot of pressure off John and Karl, but more importantly, the bench really has to step up because you know their second unit is so good.
Yeah, they are. They're deep. They're as deep as any team in the league. But we got a deep bench, too. We got guys that can come in and play, so I think we're playing pretty well right now.
All right, good luck in the second, Matt. Back to you, Dick.
All right, Todd. So the Utah Jazz do have a good bench, and a lot of them played well, including Kirilenko, Massenberg, and Mark Jackson early. So a 4-point lead. Jazz leading the Kings as we send it to Ernie Johnson in our studio.
So to speak, for Rick Adelman's Kings, it's all about just executing, playing Kings ball, no panic whatsoever. Jerry Sloan really had a point of contention with his team. He wants to see better perimeter passing, and he said give better fakes before you drive or pass on the outside. Dick?
All right, Todd, thank you very much. I think maybe the highlight of the half is the fact that the astute and adroit way you use the telestrator.
Well, for my first ever attempt, because of Mike Fratello's selfishness and never allowing me the opportunity to use the telestrator, now I finally get my first chance, and I think I performed admirably.
Very well. Now, it'll take a while for you to be czar, too, you know, but you're on your way.
I'm just worried about being the best Jeff Van Gundy I can with the telestrator.
Oh, you know what? You're 1-0 on that.
Thank you, Dick. I appreciate that and the opportunity to show my skills.
Christie firing away. He was an early scoring factor in this game with 4 points with the air ball. Beating him at the other end is Karl Malone. And the Maloofs can't like that. Weber coming back with 2. Weber has had the answer. He has 18 points in the game, and Malone has 12. So the main figures on both of these teams scoring early here in the third. It is a 4-point lead. Harpring coming off the screen, and that will drop for him. Matt Harpring, 6 for 8 from the field, and really getting that shooting percentage up. It was 40% coming in. 6-point lead, and here is Christie for 3, and the Kings still coming up empty from beyond the arc where they have excelled. Stojakovic, and he breaks through. Peja Stojakovic breaking through. He has been phenomenal. 10 for 19, over 50% from threes coming into the game.
Dick, one of the hardest times to defend the 3 is after the second shot. Divac's quick rebound and outlet to Stojakovic. Tough to guard if you're the Utah Jazz.
Harpring again coming off the screen for his 15th point, and the lead for the Jazz is 5. Kings, by the way, a very good road club. Last year in the playoffs, they won 5 out of 7 games away from home. So they are not fazed at all by being the visitors, even at the Delta Center. Bibby going behind to Weber, and Stockton pestering him. Weber driving in, and misses everything, and finally it drops in. And it's 47-44. Vlade Divac getting the basket. And again, the Kings hovering around the Jazz, trailing by only 3. 2 minutes gone by, third quarter. Weber with 18, leading the Kings. Harpring has 15, Malone 12 for the Jazz. And Harpring, after 2 shots, misses, and Bibby forcing it up. Stockton backpedaling. They go out to Stojakovic for another 3, and he hits. And if the Kings start to get their aim on the long-range shot, the Utah Jazz could be in trouble here.
And again, that's the second most difficult time to guard the 3 is in transition. So the second shot 3 by Stojakovic, and then the transition 3. They didn't want to let him get off. He has gotten off.
So the game is tied at 47. And Stockton driving around Bibby in the lane, drawing the foul. Quick move by John Stockton, and he is fouled by Bibby.
Here comes the first Stojakovic 3. Divac with the rebound, and then the quick cross-court pass. Knocked it down, and then Bibby does a good job drawing the second defender in Harpring in transition, finding Stojakovic for another wide open look.
So Peja Stojakovic 2 for 2. He is 12 for 21 from three-point range in this series, which is a phenomenal number. Stockton making good on the first free throw.
And Dick, I think John Stockton, particularly in this series, needs to be more aggressive looking for his own shot. Sacramento's playing him for the pass. If he can penetrate and get deep penetration, they're not really committing to him. He's got to look to shoot the ball.
And Jeff Stockton making a both to give the Jazz the lead again by 2. Here is Christie. Weber faking and shooting finally over Ostertag. And Chris Weber now with 20 points. Weber coming in, averaging nearly 20 points a game. Stojakovic was the scoring leader for the Kings at 21 plus, and we're tied at 49. Albert Cheney going back to Malone on the outside, knocked away. Bibby making a fine defensive play. Here's a 2-on-1. Christie to Bibby, and Bibby not seeing the shot will set it up. Going baseline, Stojakovic for 2. Getting his own rebound. Here is Peja driving in and getting a layup. So Peja Stojakovic now has 8 points here in the third quarter, and the Sacramento Kings have their first lead since early on. 51-49 in favor of the Kings. And Calbert Cheney off the screen. And here is the lead pass to Stojakovic from Bibby. And it looks like the Kings are in rhythm right now. The three-point attempt off the rim by Peja Stojakovic. Kings already scoring 14 points in less than 5 minutes here in the third quarter. And the Jazz called for the offensive foul.
Bibby made a great baseline pass to Stojakovic. He'd already knocked down 2 threes. He missed that one, but followed his shot and then took it to the basket. When you get a guy off with a couple open shots, he feels more energized. He feels better about himself. There, Stojakovic followed up his shot, took it hard to the rim.
Albert Cheney with the offensive foul, his third. Double team on Stojakovic. Good ball movement by the Kings. Bibby, however, missing from three-point range.
But the ball's moving better, more on target. They're getting quality looks this half compared to last half.
Stockton, and you said he should look for a shot, and he did there. And here is Weber handling the ball, going behind to Stojakovic. Ostertag getting the rebound, and now the Jazz looking for the opportunity. Nearly 5 minutes have gone by here in the third quarter. Dick Stockton along with Jeff Van Gundy and Todd Harris. Game 4 of the best of 7. Harpring with a tough basket inside, and he's got 17.
He's playing very well tonight, very efficient offensively, converting his opportunities.
And having his finest scoring game by far. And the Jazz were hoping he would get unleashed a bit here. 6:40 to go, game tied at 51 in the third. And Divac defended by Malone and isolated down in the low post. 1 on the shot clock, and the hook shot will count. The hook shot at the buzzer goes Divac and the Kings, who are up by 2.
Sacramento's a much better team when Divac is involved emotionally in the game and offensively. He's got to present himself more in the low post.
And a phenomenal offensive rebounder in the first 2 games of the series. And now Dick Pavetta calls the blocking foul on Mike Bibby, his second.
Malone's bodying up to Divac in the low post. Shot clock's winding down. He turns away from Malone, shoots the right hand hook off the glass. He's an excellent offensive player in the low post. Because of Weber's greatness, they don't use him that much when Weber's in the game, but he's an effective scorer and passer.
And the foul on Harpring, and that will be his 4th personal foul. So Harpring, who has been the leading scorer for the Jazz at 17 points, picks up a very costly 4th foul and will go to the bench in favor of Andrei Kirilenko.
And this is Harpring's 3rd offensive foul, setting screens. He's got to know what's being called and adjust. He's too valuable to the Jazz to be on the bench with offensive fouls.
And in fact, Jeff, the Jazz have 6 offensive fouls in the game. Kings by 2, nearly halfway through the 3rd.
More drama, more attitude, more lethal than ever.
And you've got right arm for a siren right now.
Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and Chris Rock. Lethal Weapon 4. Friday night at 8 on TNT.
And the Kings with the ball and the lead by 2. Weber finding an opening and a deflection inside. Ostertag might have gotten a piece of it. And trying to tie up Vlade Divac. And the timeout was called before he was tied up and helped up by Lawrence Funderburk as he goes back to the bench. But so important is Divac, who was a whirling dervish in the first 2 games of the series. Offensive rebound, great passing, and then was outplayed in game 3.
He is. He's so important to them, and he's so, he's got so many skills, Dick. Such versatility to his game. Sometimes I think he takes too much of a back seat.
Chris Webber with 20 points, leading scorer in the game, and Harpring with 17, but he is on the bench with 4 personal fouls. Delta Center, and hoping that this is not the last time they see Karl Malone and John Stockton teammates. Because even if the Jazz lose, they still could come back for another game. But if the Kings win this game and close it out in Game 5 on Wednesday, this will be the last time Stockton and Malone could be here in uniform. And of course, that's a big question that no one knows. Will Malone go to another team? There have been soundings. And of course, will John Stockton retire? That's always a possibility. Stockton at 41. Malone will be 40 soon. And there is Stojakovic from Weber, picked up the loose ball. And a 4-point Sacramento lead matches their biggest early in the game.
Weber's going to take the assist on that one, Dick. He's not going to say it was a loose ball. He's going to call it a pass. But I like how he's attacking the basket to start the second half and setting the tone for his team.
Cheney driving in, could not do anything. And now the Kings gaining momentum here in the 3rd quarter. And you kind of knew they would, down by only 4 with the way they were shooting, not going to the line and not hitting threes. Weber trying to get a foul, and an awkward play just fired it up there without even looking. And now the Jazz coming back, trying to regain their footing. They had the lead most of the way, and Divac with the reaching foul on Malone. That's his 4th. That's a big one.
That's a big foul right there. Divac had started to get into the game in the second half, and now to have to go and sit down because of foul trouble really could break their momentum. Just really not an intelligent play by Divac to try to strip Malone at that point of the game with that foul trouble when he wasn't in danger in the low post.
So Divac will go to the bench. He has scored 6 points, but he has been very active and a good defender inside. Scott Pollard replaces him for the Kings. Off the screen is Kirilenko. Stojakovic stays with him. Mark Jackson replacing Jackson as he, or Stockton as he always does at this juncture. Kirilenko front rimming the jump shot. So the Kings again with the ball and the 4-point lead. Bibby with Weber, Pollard, Christie, and Stojakovic. And Mike Bibby, who has been quiet in this game, only his second field goal, but he gives the Kings their biggest lead of the game.
The Bibby-Weber pick and roll is a difficult one when Bibby's making that off the dribble jump shot.
Under 4.5 to go in the third. And Cheney going down to Kirilenko. Kirilenko over Pollard. Andre Kirilenko now with 6 points, but doing so much more than just scoring for the Jazz off the bench.
His scoring is a bonus. Where he stands out for them is with his energy and his effort.
Bibby with a drive. So Bibby, who's 3 for 13 from the field, but making key baskets here in the later stages of the third quarter. Again, a 6-point Sacramento lead. And there'll be a foul called against the Jazz, and it'll be, or against the Kings, we should say, Doug Christie called for the foul away from the ball. That'll be his second.
The Bibby-Weber pick and roll is difficult here. Bibby uses the screen to knock in the 17-foot jumper, and then he fakes using the screen, crosses over, away, and hits the little runner. You have to make Bibby use the pick and roll.
And the offensive foul, and we have had so many offensive fouls called and plays away from the ball. Calbert Cheney with his 4th foul, and they are going to send in Deshaun Stevenson. So Stevenson is coming into the game now for the Utah Jazz in his 3rd year out of Washington Union High School in Fresno, California. And the Jazz feel he has a great upside. And here is Bibby, ball knocked away, and the turnover goes the other way. Here is Kirilenko slicing his way in, beating Stojakovic. 59-55, and Sloan telling his team to get on there defensively, trying to break what has been the Kings' momentum here in the third quarter. Weber stepping back, feeding nicely inside to Christie, and trying to keep it alive was Pollard, but it'll be a foul called against the Utah Jazz, and a technical foul. Pollard called for the foul. It was Pollard with the personal, and the technical foul called. Rick Adelman on the bench. And let's see whether a double technical was called here, and apparently it was both Pollard and Malone for the Jazz. Pollard and Malone, double technicals. Malone on the line with 3:10 to go. There have been 5 technical fouls called in this game, and we still have 3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the third.
Here's how the double technicals occurred. Great pass by Weber inside. Malone reaches back, knocks Pollard. A lot of contact on the second shot. There Pollard gets called for the foul. A little bumping and jostling after the foul. Double technicals. I hate the double technical. I want to know who initiated it. Call it on the guy who initiated it.
It's like a cop-out.
Well, yeah, and if you can't see who initiated, I think the NBA officials use that call too much. I think they know who initiates it sometimes, but would rather just diffuse the situation with the double technical. They're probably a good call, but I just don't like that call for the reason you said, Dick, a cop-out.
Great officiating crew, and you're looking at Dick Bavetta, one of the greatest, Ken Maurer and Ron Olisiak. And Malone now 8 for 10 from the free throw line. It's 59-57, and Bobby Jackson checking in, replacing Doug Christie. So now many of the players on the very potent bench coming in for Rick Adelman. Here is Bibby. He's had a great third quarter, and he continues with it as Bibby now has 6 of his 8 points in this period, and it's a 4-point Kings lead.
And again, there was the Bibby-Weber pick and roll with no help by Ostertag.
Jackson looking in for Malone. Defending is Weber. 9 on the shot clock. Here is Mark Jackson feeding off instead to Deshaun Stevenson. Ostertag trying to keep it alive, and the outlet to Bibby. And here's Bibby driving in and finding Stojakovic wide open for three, and he's got another one, his third three-pointer here in the third quarter, and a 7-point lead for the Kings. And Hedo Turkoglu off the bench, Sacramento trying to move in front substantially here in this quarter. Here is Jackson with the runner. The tip attempt doesn't go. Jackson picks it up again at a new clock with 2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes to go, and put in by Malone on the follow.
Good effort by Utah right there. Jackson's penetration, even though he missed, brought big men on big men, allowed Utah to get 2 cracks at the offensive board. Malone
with 16, and coming back is Weber with 22. So Weber with 22 points. 7-point Sacramento lead. They trailed at the half by 4, so this has been a big third quarter for the Kings.
Bibby's dominating the game right now with his offense, both his scoring and passing, finding Stojakovic, Weber, and then putting the ball in off the pick and roll.
Bibby coming off a 23-point game, another turnover by the Jazz, and Bobby Jackson beats him. So 19 turnovers by the Utah Jazz. An incredible number considering they only had 10 in game 3 to win, and the Kings have opened up a 9-point lead.
Mark Jackson gets caught in a difficult situation, a bad pass out of the post, which leads to Bobby Jackson transition layup, and then Bibby doing a fine job finding Stojakovic in transition for another 3, and the Sacramento bench loves when Peja Stojakovic knocks down the open 3.
If John's coming back, is Carl coming back, and is Coach Sloan coming back?
Well, if I had to guess right now, I'd say that Coach Sloan will. I think that Carl will. I know he'll be someplace in the NBA. John's a toss-up. If you asked me a month ago, I'd have said definitely yes. But I've just seen kind of little signs he's sending that I'm not so sure now. I'd say it's about a 50-50. I honestly don't know, and I told him I wouldn't push him for any kind of an answer until the season was over.
Do you think the 3 are linked? If John leaves, Carl leaves, and Coach doesn't want to break any more rookies?
I don't, and I think that would surprise a lot of people. But I think Jerry will stay no matter what, and I think Carl will do what he does based on his want to get the points championship, the scoring championship.
Stay or leave, the 3 the best you may ever have in this franchise?
You know, I don't know if you could ever ask or expect that again in professional sports, to have been together that long, 18 seasons together and teammates, and of course Jerry's been here throughout, sometimes assistant, but we've been very fortunate to have them.
Thank you for your time, sir, and best of luck.
Good being with you, Todd. Thank you.
Well, there you have the latest on the situation of the Magic 3 here in Utah from Larry Miller, who celebrated his 59th birthday on Saturday when the Jazz won. Right now, the Jazz are on the short end of a 69-59 game, with Bibby still going to the line for one more. Massenberg coming into the game. By the way, Mike Weir, if you're wondering why he was presented the basketball, he lives in Draper, Utah. He is a native Canadian, of course, won the Masters. Well, interesting from Larry Miller there, Jeff.
Very honest and forthcoming, and it's good to know that he thinks Jerry Sloan will be back, because young or old team, he's the right coach here in Utah.
And the Massenberg losing the ball on the turnover. Up ahead is Bobby Jackson, and Jackson with the lay-in, and the Kings opening up a 71-59 lead with less than 20 seconds remaining.
Sacramento has just dominated this quarter, obviously, because it started with their defense. They played great defense, which has led to transition offense.
And the ball deflected away from Stockton, thought he was fouled, and here is Bibby behind Stojakovic, and the foul against the Jazz. So the Sacramento Kings going wild here in the third quarter. The Jazz turning it over 21 times in the game, and the Kings with tremendous fast break clicking here for the Maloof brothers. So Stojakovic is on the line. NBA.com has compiled 10 of the best shots in NBA playoff history. Log on to see the candidates and vote for the best shot only on NBA.com or American Online, keyword NBA.com. What a stunning turn of events here in the third quarter, after the Utah Jazz had played so well in the first half, and the Kings taking the play away totally here in the third.
And they've done it at both ends of the floor. It's all started with their defense, so a renewed sense of effort and energy to try to compete, force turnovers, be physical, and it's turned into good transition opportunities at the other end. Plus, Bibby's come alive. Good pick and roll offense.
And that'll do it. So the Sacramento Kings in the third quarter scored 36 points. They had only 37 at half. Stojakovic with 15 points in the quarter, 20 in the game, and Mike Bibby, 7 of his 9 points in the third quarter as the Kings explode to a 73-59 lead. Turnaround of 25 points in this game. The Jazz once had an 11-point lead. It's a 14-point advantage, and now after being outscored 36-18 in the third quarter, if you're Jerry Sloan, you're sitting over there, where is this game going?
You've got to regroup your team. This could go to 25, or Utah could make a good run. They need to make their push right away. Take care of the ball. 7 more turnovers in the third quarter lead to 10 Sacramento points. And here we go again where they're mishandling the basketball.
There'll be a jump ball with Harpring and Jim Jackson, and we'll bring you up to date on who is in there for the Sacramento Kings. It'll be Bobby Jackson and Jim Jackson with Mike Bibby, who is brilliant, and the igniter in the third quarter. Chris Webber and Scott Pollard for the Jazz is the starting backcourt of John Stockton and Calbert Chaney with Harpring, Malone, and Massenberg up front. Tip won by the Jazz, and they're going to need a lot of production here in the fourth quarter. They are in a major hole, down by 14 points. And Stocking looked inside, and a defensive 3-second violation called against the Sacramento Kings. That will result in a technical free throw in possession. Gattelman has seen his team with an amazing turnaround in the third quarter.
Again, I think Webber kept him in it in the first half with his outstanding play. And then Stojakovic, Bibby started to play better, and their defense picked up. So they were dominant, high-scoring, what we come to expect from the Sacramento Kings offensively. What people don't realize is that they're an outstanding defensive team as well, and that's how they played in the second half.
Here is Massenberg and Bobby Jackson going for the rebound, and Matt Harpring on him. And the foul is called against Harpring, and that is 5. So here is Harpring, who has been a much-needed offensive boost for the Jazz tonight with 17 and now with 5.
Good effort by Harpring, coming along the baseline, going for the second shot. Inadvertent contact with Bobby Jackson, but they need that type of effort to get back in the game. Harpring's an effort player, just an unfortunate foul.
But it's 5 fouls, 1 more and he's gone. Bobby Jackson comes up empty on the 3-point attempt, and here come the Jazz. 13-point lead, and Calbert Chaney quickly from the baseline. And Bibby losing the ball, just lost the dribble. But it's the Jazz who have to watch their turnovers. Turned it over 21 times. Malone is fouled and will go to the line. So Karl Malone, who's been to the line 10 times in this game, will shoot a pair here. Catch the NBA playoffs in high definition on NBA TV tomorrow. Game 5 doubleheader beginning at 7 Eastern. Nets host the Bucks, followed by the Pacers and the Celtics. Wednesday, Game 5, Orlando and Detroit, as the Magic try to finish off the Pistons. Playoff action in HD only on NBA TV.
Dick, I think if Indiana's going to come back and beat Boston in that series, Reggie Miller must be involved by his teammates.
Absolutely.
He is one of the greatest clutch shooters, and I have no idea what's going on, whether he's not getting enough opportunities, whether he's not being aggressive. All I know is he's one of the greatest clutch shooters that we've ever seen in the NBA. And if I was him, I would demand the ball from my teammates, and I would go out shooting the basketball, not silent like he has been for too long in that series.
You're right, Jeff. He's the money player and has been for years for the Indiana Pacers.
And his teammate, he needs to reintroduce himself to his teammates and get the ball some.
11-point lead. Here is Malone. Karl Malone from the perimeter. 20 points for Malone. And they have it under double digits, 73-64. Sacramento leading, and the Jazz making a run here. Bobby Jackson going behind to Pollard is fouled. Good pass by Jackson, who knew he did not have the shot, to a cutting Scott Pollard. Foul on Malone, and that'll be his 4th personal.
Nice play by Stockton. Malone really has developed into a great perimeter shooter, knocking it down there. The other end, good offense by Weber, hitting a cutting Bobby Jackson and then dish to Pollard. Pollard, though, is not a great free throw shooter. Utah must make sure they block out on the second attempt.
He is a 61% shooter from the line, as you see Malone's numbers, but he connects on the first. Sacramento Kings taking a 2-0 lead in the series. The first time that franchise, going all the way back to the days of Rochester in the 50s, won the first 2 games of a series since 1952. And, you know, you were a college star.
In 52? I wasn't even a thought yet in 52.
75-64, an 11-point lead.
Now, Marv Albert was in grad school at that time, though.
Don't go there.
Fratello, well, he didn't even, I don't even know if he had the college degree, so I don't want to speak about him.
Malone hitting the shot from the perimeter. You know, they may not welcome you back.
They were killing me today again. I'm never going to forget. Revenge is mine right now.
I hope you guys patch it up when you get back together again.
It may be irreparable.
75-66, 9-point lead, and Stojakovic driving in. What a second half he has had. He had 5 points at the end of the first half. He has 22 in the game. Massenberg defended by Pollard. Plenty of time on the shot clock for the Jazz. And here is Massenberg working his way in against Pollard. And Weber getting the rebound. Lead is 11.
And that's a problem with Utah. If Malone's not in the post, their other bigs, Ostertag and Massenberg, aren't efficient low post players, so the pressure is always on Malone to produce low post scoring.
Stojakovic trying to find an opening, and he cannot miss. Stojakovic shooting here in the second half has been uncanny. He has 19 points here in the second half, and the lead is 13. Pages 7 of 10 from the field here in the third and fourth quarters. Stockton coming back with a jumper. He has 9 in the game.
That's what I mean. I think he's got to come off situations like the pick and roll thinking shot. They're going underneath. He's got to knock it in.
Down low, the turnaround by Weber. Chris Weber now, and 24 for him. Malone with 22, Weber with 24, but Stojakovic and Weber combining for 48 points for their starting forward.
That was a great move by Weber because he was just so patient, backing in, no double team.
And Malone driving, slashing to the hoop, and another defensive 3-second violation called. That's the second one against the Kings here in this third quarter.
Here's the patience that Weber displayed. He catches, he backs in, no double team, just uses his size and length to shoot the jump hook right over the top of Malone. The Kings want to make sure they finish their series off in 5, so they're going with equal rest going into the next series.
Stockton hitting the free throw on the defensive 3-second violation, and 10 on the shot clock as they get the ball back, and Ostertag inside, knocked away. 12-point lead for the Kings with 4 minutes gone by here in the fourth. A victory for the Kings, a big one. They go home with a 3-1 lead in this series against the Jazz. Here is Pollard cutting to the basket, and the foul. Ostertag defending against the cutting Scott Pollard, and that'll be 3 on him.
That's an excellent after timeout play. They threw the ball to the high post to Weber. Weber faced up, and he's a terrific high post passer. Pollard set a flare screen and then slipped. Weber, great bounce pass to the cutting Pollard.
Well, it may be the NBA playoffs, but don't forget it's also baseball season. Major League Baseball action returns tomorrow night to TBS Superstation at 8 p.m. Eastern as the Atlanta Braves take on the Houston Astros. Pollard now 3 for 3 for the line. doing a lot better from the free throw strike than he did in the regular season. Rick Adelman, who, by the way, has never won Coach of the Year honors, but has guided the Kings to some tremendous seasons and almost on the brink of getting to the NBA Finals.
All he does is win, never uses his platform as the coach to promote himself, just continues to have coaching excellence.
Stockton guarded by Bobby Jackson. 14-point lead, matches the biggest of the game for the Kings as Kirilenko driving to the basket is fouled. So the Coach of the Year, as you know now, is awarded to Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs. And even Rick Adelman thought that Jerry Sloan should win. And here are the voting results with the Greg Popovich, the leader, Eric Musselman of Golden State. He did a terrific job with the Warriors, and Jerry Sloan coming in third.
All three of those guys could have won the award, plus so many more. The coaching in this league is at an all-time high. We have two of the great ones here tonight in Jerry Sloan and Rick Adelman.
Kirilenko with the free throws. 83-71, Sacramento in front. Jazz led by 4 at the half and opened up as much as an 11-point lead in the first half of the game, but a sizzling third quarter, 36-18 Bulls has turned this game around. Pollard running right into Malone, trying to tie up Pollard, and he does.
Great defensive play by Malone. He's not really a shot blocker. He gets the shot before it goes up in the air. Usually he strips down. There, he just used his strength to tie Pollard up and force the jump ball. Just tremendous strength by Malone. He just snatched it away from Pollard, who's pretty strong himself.
And Pollard, native of Utah, his father was a high school star here and played at the University of Utah. A lot of Pollard's brothers played at Brigham Young. Here is Jackson for two. Bobby Jackson, and it's tipped out of bounds. And it's last touched by the Kings. So the Jazz trying to narrow this 12-point deficit. Stockton knifing in, and Pollard got all ball out of bounds. And it'll still be a Utah ball. So Stockton running right into the big paws of Scott Pollard.
I thought that was a foul. I thought Stockton did a good job trying to turn the corner, and I thought he got bumped with the body. Should have been a foul and on the line.
Stockton hitting the jumper with a flash. 12 points for Stockton. And 4 Jazz in double figures, led by Karl Malone's 22. Ostertag. And Weber now making a move to the basket against the double team, and he beats it. Chris Weber, 26 in the game, and again a 12-point bulge.
Chris Weber does not get enough credit for his offensive versatility. There, he took Ostertag off the dribble, tough running hook shot in the lane over multiple help defenders.
Stojakovic on the hold on the feed inside. 3 on Stojakovic with 6:16 to go in the fourth. Matt Harpring, who has 5 fouls, coming back in the game, and no waiting anymore to bring Matt Harpring in, who has 17 tonight.
No, good decision. You're down big. You need your best players on the floor to have a chance to win. This is a no-risk move.
Stockton blocked by Pollard, out of bounds, last touched by the Jazz. So the Kings, tell you what, Pollard doing a good job inside against a lot of the cutters and drivers for Utah.
Very good protecting the basket, both with his body taking charges and with the block shot.
And Weber bodied by Ostertag on the perimeter and the double team. Bobby Jackson fakes the pass and hits a 3. Bobby Jackson hitting a critical 3-point basket, opening up the biggest lead of the game for Rick Adelman and the Sacramento Kings. It's 88-73 with under 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And this Delta Center crowd has been quieted considerably by Sacramento's fire here in the second half. And they're going to call Weber with the foul on Malone.
Here's Bobby Jackson's 3-point shot. Fakes the pass, launches the 3, knocks it in, and then his Sacramento teammates know they are only 6 minutes away from taking a commanding 3-1 series lead.
Game of our doubleheader at 9:30, Spurs and Suns. What do you make of these games?
Well, the Lakers series is just so intriguing because Garnett's putting so much into it, investing so much emotion and energy. You'd like to see him rewarded. The Lakers are conducting themselves as champions do, and then to have another 8 seed have a 1 seed on the ropes is very, very unusual. But Stephon Marbury, terrific point guard play.
Well, you know what it's like to beat a #1 seed as you did when the Knicks beat the Miami Heat. It hasn't been done very often in Orlando, on the brink of doing that to the top seed Detroit Pistons in the East.
I tell you, Orlando looks very good. McGrady's just at a different level than Detroit. Has no answer for the other players of the Magic.
And coming down with the rebound, and they're going to jump Pollard and Harpering. 5:11 to go. 15-point lead. Andre Kirilenko will replace Calbert Chaney in the lineup for the Utah Jazz.
And Dick, the Sacramento response here is of championship caliber. Tough road game, a game they needed to win. The Utah Jazz crowd has been unbelievable, and they just came out in the third quarter and put it to them, and now are just maintaining their lead.
Here is Kirilenko from Stockton. And maybe that's a spark that the Jazz can use. Down by 13. Still plenty of time remaining. 5 minutes to go, and Bobby Jackson getting in the low post. Whoever quick double team with Stockton. Trying to find the open man. It's Jim Jackson for 3, and he hits a big one. Great ball movement by Sacramento.
Utah went to their half-court trapping defense, trapping the first pass in the low post. Good ball movement by Sacramento. Unselfish play led to the wide-open jumper by Jackson.
And Kirilenko going up looking for the foul and gets it. Well, we talked about how the game changed dramatically for the Kings, especially in the shooting department. Remember, they had no three-point baskets in the first half. They've come back with 5 here in the second. 3 by that man, Peja Stojakovic.
That's what they call pure. He is a pure shooter. When he's on, he's got his feet set. That ball doesn't hit rim. It goes straight through. Really, he's the most dangerous guy in transition now that we have in the league from the three-point line. Reggie Miller used to be, but again, he's got to reintroduce himself to his teammates. I'm still not off that soapbox yet, Dick.
No, I don't blame you. 1 free throw, 13 for Kirilenko. Stojakovic, by the way, an all-star for 2 straight years and was in the starting lineup with Chris Webber, hampered with injury. And Ostertag on the hold, so Ostertag picking up his 4th foul. And 91-76, and time starting to be a bit of a factor for the Utah Jazz and Jerry Sloan.
I love the way Webber's just taking his time tonight in the post. He is shooting the open ones. He's passing the ball like there to Jackson, and then he's taking it to the rim.
And Stojakovic is putting it through the rim with his 4th three-pointer of the second half. And right now, you'd have to say the Sacramento Kings can feel it. They are up 94-76 with 4 minutes remaining, and the Maloof brothers trying to see the Kings win a big road game and take that 3-1 lead back to the state capital in California. Meanwhile, Kirilenko, not to be denied, now with 15 points. And the Sacramento Kings in front, 94-78, 3:45 remaining in the 4th. And the double team on Webber, leaving Bibby open. Bibby and Stojakovic, the shooting story in the second half for the Kings.
And it all revolves around getting the ball to Chris Webber in his favorite spot so he can start creating offense. He creates open looks because of his greatness, and he's an excellent passer.
And inside, Harpering has his shot nearly blocked, and they'll call the foul on Pollard.
Jimmy Jackson enters here to Webber. He's double teamed. Good pass to the cutting Jackson, then the extra pass. Stojakovic doesn't take the first one. Uses an escape dribble to shoot the open 3-point shot, but Sacramento, when they're playing right and the ball's moving and their bodies are moving, are very difficult to guard. The physicalness of the Jazz defense can't get a hold of them then. When it's a one-on-one stationary isolation game, that's when Sacramento can be defended more easily.
And how about the shooting in the second half? 62% for the Kings and 31% for the Jazz. 96-79. Kings lead, and many of the crowd here at the Delta Center starting to make their way to the exits. And here is Weber fouled by Ostertag. And now, of course, you have to wonder, you know, if the Kings finish off the Jazz on Wednesday, whether this is indeed the last time we will see these great players who have been in the playoffs every year. They have been together and reaching the NBA Finals twice. Karl Malone and John Stockton.
No one should be leaving right now, Dick. They should be waiting around to give a standing ovation when Malone, Stockton, and Sloan leave the floor tonight. Because if this is it, it's one of the greatest eras in basketball. It'll probably never be duplicated again. This crowd should rise up as one and show their appreciation for all the great basketball those three have given this state.
And the majority by far is still here, and that's a great point, and hope that they will be, because you're talking about 2 decades of the best duo and one of the great coaches of all time. Kirilenko in and out, and the follow by Malone and the foul. 2:45 remaining in the fourth quarter, and a timeout here at the Delta Center with the Kings on their way to a 3-1 lead. And there are some of the others, the all-time tandems, and there is Nada Stockton, the wife of John Stockton. They have 6 kids, and John said, if I loved to play, if I weren't playing here, I'd be playing in the driveway with my kids. And Kay Malone is here as well. And Kay on the left, and Cheryl Ford, who was the 3rd draft in the WNBA. So there's got to be some emotion without question here, Jeff.
There's no doubt. Stockton's out now. Karl will probably be coming out after he gets off the free throw line. To compete against those guys from a coaching standpoint was to know you were always going to have to bring your best, because they always brought their best. And when you're going up against greatness, Dick, you know it. And those 2 guys, despite not winning a championship together, are championship caliber athletes, because they gave that type of effort every single night out.
And consistently, and played every year. And even this year, John Stockton played every game at age 41.
Some guys go out with injuries, these fake injuries. Other guys fight through it. Malone and Stockton not only were great players, they were the most durable players of their era.
John Amici, in his first playoff action, has checked into the game as Jerry Sloan has emptied his bench. Karl Malone remains on the floor as Carlos Arroyo, Deshaun Stevenson, Scott Padgett there, and Malone's going out, and here he comes. Karl Malone will get the standing ovation. And if you talk to the 2 of them, they'll just say, we're down 3-1, and we've got a long road to go. They're not thinking about anything else but this series and what's next.
Right, they're not thinking about the end as athletes. All of us will speculate. They're concerned with what adjustments can they make to bring this game back to Utah, or this series back to Utah. That single-minded focus is one of the reasons they were both so great.
97-81, the Sacramento Kings headed for the 3-1 lead in this best-of-7 series. And the Kings coming right back by winning on the road here after they were attacked, as Rick Adelman said, and the aggressive Jazz winning Saturday in Game 3. Scott Pollard will foul out as we take a look at the series thus far. This game led by the Kings 97-81. Wednesday at 11 o'clock at Sacramento will be Game 5 of the series, and if necessary, the rest. John Amici, who was born in Great Britain, played his college basketball at Penn State on the free throw line. And for a team that had 37 points at the half, Jeff, the Sacramento Kings on the verge of going over the 100 mark and against a pretty good Utah Jazz club.
You couldn't have asked for a better second half if you were Rick Adelman and the Kings, and it shows their explosive abilities because Utah competed as hard in the second half as they did in the first. They were just overwhelmed by a superior Kings team.
53 points between the two, Stojakovic and Weber, the forwards. And here is Weber trying to add to that total. Massenberg getting the rebound. 60 points for Sacramento here in the second half, under 2 minutes to go in the game. And Weber remains on the floor, and Rick Adelman still has most of his starters. He's got Keon Clark and Jim Jackson, but Bibby, Stojakovic, and Weber remain on the floor. And Arroyo fires it up there, batted out of bounds with 1:24 to go. I want to remind you that coming up next, following the game inside the NBA with Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and special guest Mario Elie, highlights and all the post-game interviews and reaction from tonight's 2 games as the 76ers take a 3-1 lead in that series. They'll also take a look at what else is happening in the playoffs and preview tomorrow's big game between the Lakers and the Timberwolves inside the NBA coming up right after the game. So Weber, Bibby, and Stojakovic go out and replaced by Gerald Wallace. Lawrence Funderburk has come in the game as well. Funderburk with the shot and the basket. And it's 99-82. Keon Clark has been in the lineup. And many of the throng so enthusiastic and hopeful that the Jazz could even the series, leaving in a disappointed fashion. But Sacramento, one of the better teams in the league this year, the number 2 seed. And you don't get to be the number 2 seed for no reason.
And Utah really had a chance in the first half when they were clearly dominating the play to open up a bigger cushion, but their turnovers really kept that from happening. If they had a bigger cushion, they could have maybe withstood the initial push by Sacramento.
And there is the traveling violation called against Jim Jackson. Well, the Kings going home needing 1, and once again they could wrap it up in 5. And knowing that the other major powers, other than the Mavericks, who could win in 5, they'll go against the Portland Trailblazers on Wednesday. But the Lakers and the Spurs locked in series that will go at least 6. Here is Arroyo. And Arroyo missing the shot. Arroyo in his second year from Florida International. Peja Stojakovic, 27 points. Leading scorer tonight, 22 in the second half. And a double-double for Chris Webber, who had 26 and 11 rebounds. Bibby with 11 points in a big second half and 9 assists. Karl Malone, 24 points. Matt Harpring had 18. And John Stockton, 12 points and 7 assists. And who knows if we will see these two again in a Jazz uniform here in Salt Lake City. The final score, the Sacramento Kings 99, the Utah Jazz 82, as the Kings take a 3-1 lead over the Jazz. Let's check in with Todd Harris.
All right, thank you very much, Dick. I'm among the tall trees here. Chris Webber, great night. You got off to a slow start. What was the key for you in the second half to get back on track?
Well, our team, we just got down early, and this is a good team, but we can hopefully outweather teams, and, hopefully we can weather the storm. That's what we did in the second half. We just stuck with it. And these games like this, you just got to keep your focus and stay the course.
All right, good luck, Chris. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Hey, Mom.
Peja, unbelievable. I guess when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. Tonight you had the touch going, especially in that second half.
Well, we all came up really slow, except Chris. Chris kept us in the game in the first half, and he was really a leader tonight. And he told me at halftime, what should I do to get you some wide looks? And I just needed a couple open shots to knock him down, to get my rhythm going, and guys get me the ball. So I think we really played aggressive in the second half. That was the key. Last game they were aggressors, and tonight we did the same thing what they did to us.
27 points. Congratulations. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to you, Dick.
All right, Todd. So the Sacramento Kings outscore the Utah Jazz by 21 in the second half and win 99-82. Stay with TNT for continuing coverage of the NBA playoffs coming up inside the NBA. Don't forget, Game 5 of the series will be Wednesday night at 10:30 p.m. on TNT. So for Jeff Van Gundy and Todd Harris, I'm Dick Stockton saying goodnight from Salt Lake City. The Trailblazers 103, the Mavericks 99, and it is now 3-2. So for Jeff Van Gundy, Craig Sager, Dick Stockton saying so long from Dallas. Right now, let's join Matt Devlin in Sacramento for Game 5 underway between the Jazz and the Kings.
Thank you very much, Dick, and welcome to Sacramento, California. And we are underway here at Arco Arena in Sacramento with an early lead here in game number 5, 4-2.